Rome was not invincible. An emperor, captured, humiliated, and used as a footstool. But what happens when the world's greatest power loses its leader? When the symbol of strength becomes a warning of decline? The fall of Valerian wasn't just a loss. It was a lesson in power, arrogance, and survival. Let's dive in. All right, picture this. You're the Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the known world. You've got legions at your command, cities bowing at your feet, and a title that practically screams untouchable. And then, bam, you're captured, dragged off in chains, and allegedly turned into a glorified Ottoman for your enemy. That's exactly what happened to Valerian in 260 CE, and let me tell you, it was one of the most humiliating moments in Roman history. At the time, Rome was already spiraling through what historians politely call the crisis of the 3rd century, which is a fancy way of saying everything was on fire and nobody knew how to use a fire extinguisher. Emperors were dropping like flies, the economy was tanking, and Rome was being invaded from all sides. Enter the Sassanian Empire, led by Shapur I, an ambitious Persian king who was not here to play nice. Unlike their Parthian predecessors, who were more of a nuisance than a real threat, the Sassanians were an actual powerhouse, with a disciplined military and a goal-kick Rome out of the east. And Valerian, in a desperate attempt to show that Rome still had some fight left, personally led his legions against Shapur. Bold move, but also a very bad one. The campaign fell apart faster than a budget chariot. Plagued by disease, supply issues, and just plain bad luck, Valerian's army found itself trapped in the city of Edessa. It was here, in 260 CE, that disaster struck. Shapur saw an opportunity, laid siege to the place, and cut off any chance of escape. Now, the details of what happened next are murky, but the general consensus is that Valerian, hoping to negotiate peace, rode out to meet Shapur and, surprise, ended up a prisoner instead. And Rome? Oh, Rome did not take this well. Never before had a Roman emperor been captured alive by an enemy, and the optics were horrendous. This was the ultimate loss in Roman history. Stories spread that Shapur used Valerian as a human stepstool to mount his horse, because nothing says I've won quite like turning your opponent into a literal doormat. Other sources claim he was executed in some horrifying fashion, with his corpse stuffed and put on display as a trophy. Whether or not these stories were exaggerated, one thing was clear: Rome was in trouble. Back home, Valerian's son, Gallienus, took over and tried to clean up the mess, but the empire was unraveling. Rebellions broke out, provinces started acting like independent kingdoms, and Rome's enemies smelled blood in the water. Meanwhile, Shapur wasted no time flexing his victory, carving massive reliefs into Persian rock faces, immortalizing the moment for all to see. But here's the kicker. Despite this massive win, the Sassanians didn't actually manage to hold on to all their conquests. Rome, though bruised and humiliated, wasn't down for the count just yet. Future emperors like Aurelian and Diocletian would eventually stabilize things, but the capture of Valerian was a sign of the times. Rome was no longer the unstoppable juggernaut it once was. So, what's the takeaway? Simple. Even the mightiest rulers can end up as someone else's footrest. And if history teaches us anything, it's that power is fragile, especially when you start underestimating your enemies. I'll leave you to discuss in the comments. Do you think Valerian's capture was the beginning of the end for Rome, or just another bump in the road? Support us by subscribing if you haven't already. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and I'll catch you soon in another video.